The CRM system I use scaling agencies all from 20K a month up to 350K a month on a recurring basis. I'm going to show you exactly what CRM system I recommend based on the popular ones. And if you're thinking about changing or moving or picking your first CRM, this would be the perfect video for you overall. Which to choose, why, pricing, and tier on every single popular CRM in 2025. So just get right into it. We have some popular platforms and quickly: Jira, Salesforce, Keep, Monday, Asana, Trello, Slack, Airtable, Zoho, Notion, Pipedrive. Go high level, of course, HubSpot and ClickUp. Those are the kind of most popular ones, which I guess recommend in 2025. And overall, I'm going to give you a tier on every single one of them. So first off, I'm going to do them in order. So Jira as number D. I have a whimsical guide prepared for every single tool. I'm going to show you exactly what and why they have a D tier. So Jira, I have used Jira for some teams, definitely for bigger enterprise clients. It's definitely a good task management system, more like a project management tool. However, it's best for like product-based teams, dev agencies, or creative agencies specifically, which I do recommend, or kind of will talk about. It's definitely not the best tools, and even though it's a good enough tool with cheap pricing, it's definitely affordable. The thing it lacks in, of course, is for creative agencies. We have to kind of think about, it's not a tool that doesn't work. It works quite well, but we have to kind of course, compare them to other platforms we have in the list, right? Because we can't have, like, even though Jira as a tool itself is quite good for creative work and for creative agencies, it's just not recommended. Even though I've seen it, I do not recommend it ever. Strengths, of course, it's credible for software teams and dev sprints, and that's kind of what it's tailored to. It's not tailored for creative agencies. I wouldn't recommend it either. But I have people and still work with people who use Jira. Like weaknesses, of course. It's awful for creative agency use. That's kind of the main thing. Good as a task management tool, but specifically for creative agency use, it's definitely not there, and I wouldn't recommend it at all, right? It's complicated, overstructured, and it's definitely not for marketers whatsoever. So if you're thinking about Jira, completely ignore it, because that's not the best thing to do. So that's why I kind of started in the place. As a platform, it's fine, it's cheap for like dev teams, for product-based teams, for creative agencies. Completely ignore it, and just don't even think about it, to be honest, because it would just be more of a problem than, of course, a solution. So quick one, it's definitely not a big platform, and I won't kind of go further more than that. You don't really have to use it, you don't have to think about it either. So if you're using Jira, recommend moving from the platform totally, right? Next step is, of course, Mr. Asana. Asana has a seat there. Even though I think Asana is a great platform, definitely as a task management platform, it's great. I do recommend it. I have worked with Asana. Definitely one of the more popular platforms I've worked on, and it's definitely extremely popular in the agency and budget space. Overall, it's a great platform. I do recommend Asana. As I said on Jira, we have to think about if this compares to other platforms, right? We have to compare Asana to like ClickUp, to go high level, to HubSpot, to Pipedrive. And compared to those platforms, it lands on a C tier. It's not the worst, but it's not the best, right? It's good as a task management system, and that's about it, right? It's only for task management. I haven't seen anybody basically haven't done it as a CRM system, which I'm sorry is kind of possible, but I really wouldn't recommend it. It's just a task management system, which means you have to have another CRM system in the use, right? So you have to have both a CRM and your Asana project, and that's why I really won't recommend it, because you have to have multiple different platforms of course, communication and overall client delivery. So in Lads as a C tier, even though it's a great platform, I've used it a bunch. It's good for small teams, extremely just, you can do whatever you want with it. It's quite customizable. And pricing, it's quite heavy, being at $25 a month, which I think is a lot for one user. So if you like 1, 2, 3 people on the team, sure, it works, but there are much better options for a fraction of the price, right? So strength, of course, it's simple task interface. It's extremely simple to use. I would recommend Asana just for sheer like simplicity. But more than that, it's just not the best, right? So Nice interface. Weaknesses, of course, there's no pipeline structure. It's a task management system. There's really nothing behind it more than that. It's poor for client delivery. Like there's no central place for automations and assets. It's just basically a nice and comprehensive list for stuff, right? So that's why Sana lands as it here, even though it's a great platform, it's just not the best inside of here. So next, Salesforce. I think this would be, I guess, a bit controversial. It has to data because it's above Jira. I would almost say so, right? It's basically on the same level. Salesforce is a massive platform. I use Salesforce for some clients. I've used Salesforce a bunch overall. I do think it's a great platform for enterprise clients. And that's about it, right? It's best for enterprise level agencies with custom needs. I've worked mostly with, of course, custom enterprise plans on Salesforce, and that's about it. On a lower level, not recommended. It's so overkill. There's so much thing you can do. It can be extremely price heavy. It's of course it's extremely powerful. You can do everything set up Salesforce. Super big platform. For creative agencies, not the best, right? It's so overkill, it's absurd, right? It's perfect, it's expensive, it's great, it's the best. But you, of course, massive overkill, it requires developers. There's, yeah, creative agencies really benefit from the like. I think this line summarizes everything. Creative agencies rarely benefit from the company. Like there's too complex for creative agencies, and that's why I really wouldn't recommend it at all, because there's just too much going on in the platform. And definitely for somebody who has like a team of 5, 10, 15, 20 people, it would be absurd overkill, and there will be a lot of it will be price heavy. It's difficult to handle, of course. It's just a bunch of steps for just setting up the platform in the beginning, right? So I really wouldn't recommend Salesforce at all for creative agencies, even though it's a great platform for enterprise clients. I have big clients on Salesforce who pay absurd amounts of money for the platform. It's just not the best for task delivery and CRM systems when it comes to creative and like marketing agencies, right? So if you're thinking about Salesforce, don't even think about it. Like that's a double cross here, because it's super expensive, it's super overkill, and overall I wouldn't recommend it whatsoever. So next is Mr. Trello. Trello also has a D tier. Okay, I think it's the highest of the tiers for creative agencies. Trello, it's good. It's definitely easy to handle. It's a simple system. Best for solo freelancers and very simple task tracking, right? It's simple, it's effective, it's very easy to use. If you're ever thinking about scaling, going to move out from the platform immediately, right? The second you think about, I'm going to grow my company and grow my team, you're going to move out of the platform the same second, right? And that's the thing. Pricing, it's basically free, up to $10 a month for user. Quite cheap, in my opinion. Strengths, dead simple. Literally, it's super simple to use. Overall, a very good thing. It's good for personal use. Like weaknesses, there's no CRM system or agency use case. So if you are a solo freelancer, try it out, see it for yourself, even though there are better platforms in here for solo freelancers. I would still recommend it, of course. You can't manage multiple clients' timelines. Of course you can, but it just makes things more difficult than actually just having no CRM system, basically. So Trello is good, but it's not for scalability. It's definitely just for beginners and solo freelancers, and that's about it. And I wouldn't recommend it for solo freelancers either, starting out, because it's just not scalable in any types of way, and overall it's just not the best platform. So it lands as a D tier. It lacks a bunch of features, right? So next is, of course, Mr. Slack. As a CRM, like there's two versions of Slack. One version, of course, is just comms. Two, of course, is as a CRM and automation, right? So there are different things here. There's one for CRM and one for just client communications, because the main thing people use Slack for, of course, is for client communications and overall just kind of team communication. The thing is, some people do use, of course, Mr. Slack as a CRM. and I'm going to list it as an A tier. I mean, this may seem quite absurd, being Asana and C and kind of Trello and D and so on. But the reason it lands on A is, of course, one, pricing. It's extremely simple to use. It's like a like it's a WhatsApp group, basically, what Telegram group. It's the same thing, but a bit more customizable, and of course for business sakes. Super cheap. $7 a month for users, of course, depending on region and so on. We have strength. It's fast for internal updates. Like, you have to think about Slack initially is a communications, okay, just internal communications, client, external. It's just mostly for chatting with the team, right? And the thing I've noticed with CRM systems is that if you have, let's say you have three different platforms. We have 1, 2, and we have a 3. Those are the 3 platforms, right? This would be Slack. This would be, let's say, Asana, and this would be like, let's say, HubSpot, right? You have one for just client delivery, basically. You have one for the CRMs. So client delivery, we have one for the clients, and we have one for communications, right? The thing is, when something updates in, let's say, Asana or HubSpot, the team doesn't really get notified inside of the Slack. So there's like no clear communications between the 3 different channels. So the reason Slack lands as an A tier is mainly because clear communications, it's easy to talk about with different channels, because everything, like when comms are in the same system as a basically, like once communications and kind of chat features inside of a CRM, it just makes delivery and just the whole process for your team much more simpler. It's not scalable, it's not the best, but it works as a communications, and if you have a very small agile team, highly recommend using Slack, just because it's simple to use. It's more or less like a one fits for all. You have to kind of configure with different systems and automations if you have it, of course, later down the line. So great to combine with Make or Zapier or anything, mostly Make and Zapier. Weaknesses, of course, it's not a CRM system, it's like a communication system. Messy if managed, and that's kind of the main thing, right? Because it's not scalable. And if you want to scale with it, you have to find ways to kind of work around the whole system and kind of find the best solution. So think about that when choosing Slack. It's a great platform for like if you're ever thinking about team communication, pick Slack, and of course client. And you can kind of see, like, in the beginning you can use it as a CRM system, and then if you have like 15, 20, 30 clients, it will starting to become a hurdle, and kind of they become different some problems. But I do recommend it for sure. Try it out. If you probably, like, most of the people will already use Slack instead of here, so Slack is of course one of the biggest platforms for businesses there is. So of course most of the people inside of here use Slack as a communication. Feel free to try it out as a CRM as well. So number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I guess, is Pipedrive. C tier. Pipedrive is super popular. Definitely above Asana. It's super big, super popular. A lot of agencies do use Pipedrive. It's quite a big platform, which I don't really understand why, because it's like best for agencies, purely for folks on outbound sales, and pricing can be sometimes a bit on the heavy side. Its strengths, of course, is it pipeline tracking. It's called Pipedrive for pipeline tracking. It's basically just like a lot of sales stuff. And that's the main thing. If you have like an outbound sales agency, I do recommend having like Pipedrive sometimes. Even though it's not the best platform, it definitely works. It's quite simple to use. It's lightweight. Weaknesses, of course, there's no delivery features. It's not basically a client delivery system whatsoever, right? So doesn't really support any creative work, and that's the main thing. So if you're a creative agency doing like ad funnels, ads, landing pages, Pipedrive wouldn't probably be the best option, and you will have to use Pipedrive with like Asana or Airtable or something else, right? So you have to kind of configure it with the multiple different platforms, and I don't like having multiple different platforms. I think that's the worst. So another thing, right? So we have Keep. I think this grading will be, yeah, correct. It will D tier. Keep is definitely one of the worst platforms there is. It's like if you're doing small agency stuff with email marketing or like cold lead nurturing, it has definitely some features in terms of automation and so on. Main thing is it's super outdated, right? It's so old. The whole platform is not ideal if trying to scale. It's super outdated, but there are some features that enable basically a lot of like cold email marketing and just cold lead nurturing overall. Of course, this has been completely replaced with stuff like instantly smart lead AI. I mean, it's just like its pricing can be quite heavy. Like there's solid tagging automations, and that's the main thing, right? It feels very outdated. It's not designed for creative flows, and it's not cost effective, right? It's good at automation because Keep was definitely one of the like first platforms who have like proper automation features inside of the platforms. Of course, old name is Infusionsoft, but yeah, very outdated. In my opinion, it's D tier, not C tier. It's definitely very outdated. But I have worked with Keep a lot, and I hate it. It's one of the worst platforms there is for automation, and it just looks so outdated. And I don't think it's going to change either, and that's kind of it lands at D tier, right? Because you have to think about now, 2020, like now use, and of course future use as well. So super outdated, but it's good for automations and was good back in the day as well. Like it was quite popular in the old days, even when I wasn't really doing this, right? So, and it still looks the same basically. Airtable lands as a B tier. I do think Airtable can get you a very long way. The reason being B tier is just because it's basically like a Google Sheet, but on steroids, I should say, right? It's basically like campaign tracking, reporting, content approvals. It's quite comprehensive. You have a bunch of features. It's cheap, more or less. Strength, of course, you have nice databases. You have a lot of great for structured workflows. Weaknesses, of course, there's no built-in features for like delivery and CRM systems. It's just like a spreadsheet will show you, right? That's kind of the way of explaining things. It's good. It's definitely comprehensive. It just features like it lacks in terms of like CRM systems. Overall, but for delivery, it's one of the best platforms. Just if you're not thinking about like client management systems, just like project delivery systems and just task management, it's definitely top tier. I would say S tier for like client delivery. But if you're thinking about as a platform as a whole, it lands a B tier just because it lacks communications. Of course, it's just not like really built for delivery or like features like other platforms has, like Monday and ClickUp and so on. So yeah, B tier, quite good. I would definitely recommend playing around with Airtable. It's highly customizable, bunch of automations with like Make, Zapier, and overall one of the better platforms there is for task management. You just have to customize the platform a bit. So Notion also lets the B tier. Like same goes with Notion. It's below Airtable for sure. Notion can be extremely good if customized the right way. If not customized the right way, just as Slack, just as Airtable, there is a problem. Main thing I do like about Notion is pricing. It's basically free, or like $8 per seat. Like it's super cost effective, super cheap, and it's definitely good for freelancers or just kind of creative first teams. It's super simple to use if you find pre-built templates before, right? If you're building a template from scratch, you're going to have some, I guess, problems, right? It's good for like clean aesthetic, definitely looks cool. Flexible for like content calendars, lightweight CRM systems. Yeah, that's the main thing, right? It's no true pipeline list, it's custom built. There has to have like, and you building the pipeline yourself will take you a bit of time. It's definitely not the easiest way to do. So main thing with Notion, it's good. Just Airtable, you just need to customize. So these two, I think both deserve a nice B tier. B tier. Main thing, of course, is that main problem is that you can have a learning curve and just one like customize, right? So if you're not customizing the right way, it's just kind of difficult to handle, especially like Notion. So make sure to customize the right way. Just make sure to find the best solution, and overall when it comes to Notion or Airtable, find pre-built templates, find like creative agency templates and build from them, because you have quite a big struggle just building on yourself. Now, the last four, right? You can see, of course, one of them is ClickUp, and next up is Zoho. Zoho lands also as a C tier. It's definitely quite similar to Pipedrive, just a bit better. Zoho, of course, is best for budget-conscious teams. It's free up to $40 a month. You can do a bunch of Zoho. It's also feature-packed with CRM systems, projects, docs. You can do a bunch of things in Zoho. Like when it comes to systems, let's say like Notion, like Airtable, and compare that to Zoho. Zoho is like buying a pre-built bike with training wheels, right? That's the same thing, right? And okay, let's say I have two people, right? One guy, the other guy. Both of them have a package, right? One package, the other guy also have a package. The difference between like Zoho versus Airtable is okay. Airtable, okay, right? Different. Okay, let's say in Zoho you have a pre-built bike. Like you have a nice bike which is pre-built, super effective. You have a pre-built bike once you open a package. The difference with the Airtable kind of Notion type of platforms, in here it's different. In here you have training wheels here, you have another wheel set of wheels here, you have of course everything else from the bike. You have to kind of configure everything from yourself, and that's the main difference. You have like different parts of the bike. So in Airtable, you have to kind of build the things yourself. And Notion, you have to find a custom templates. You have to find a template that fits. But once you have a template that fits, I think it's much better than Zoho. But Zoho is good if you don't really have the time to build everything yourself. You don't have to have the time for the learning curve. You just want something that works and super easy just to manage, right? But it depends, right? Because Zoho is not the best for scalability. So like play around with the platforms, see what you recommend, and kind of see what you think and prefer, right? Hopefully that makes sense in terms of platform use. Which of course this can be overwhelming, poor design, support and user of course experience is a bit outdated. Overall, a good platform though for creative agencies. Go high level, the first ester for our creative agencies. Go high level is extremely comprehensive, basically all-in-one platform for everything. It's best for agencies doing lead gen, meta ads, or client acquisition. It's pricing all up from $97 a month to $300 a month. Can be a bit more expensive. But the thing is, you don't really pay for users that the same way you do on platforms like Pipedrive. So right, you only pay like, let's say, it can even be more expensive than this if you're selling the systems. It can be like this, right? So the thing is, it's only one for nurturing, SMS, forms, email, funnels, everything. It's great for building automated client journeys. It's white labels. You can kind of build it for your own brand. Okay, it can be quite ugly, quite clunky backend, and of course it's not loved by design focused teams, right? It's more for people doing lead gen, meta ads, or client acquisition systems, not for people doing other types of creative works, like highly customized paintings or highly customized funnels. Like GoLive is perfect for like pre-built templates, pre-built everything. It's in all-in-one platform for your whole agency, and I do truly recommend Go High Level. A bit more pricey, but you don't pay per user, you just pay for the whole platform. So definitely recommend the system. Overall, it's super comprehensive and extremely good for people doing lead gen. So if you're not doing, of course, lead gen, it's not S tier. But if you're doing those three stuff or kind of similar stuff, it's definitely up there, and I would highly recommend playing around. Also learning curve, keep that in mind. There's a bunch of features and almost a bit too many features. So find the right thing and just stick with it, right? Like there's a bit too much in the platform to play around with, so keep that in mind. Now, HubSpot as a tier B. I've seen we missed a platform. We don't have Monday. HubSpot is B tier. So overall, in my opinion, HubSpot is great. It's best for B2B marketing, running more outbound or content-driven growth. It's free CRM, but paid plans can be extremely expensive. And that like extremely expensive. Same with like Salesforce. Best in class for pipeline and marketing automation. Clean interface. Its weakness, of course, it's expensive, quite fast. You're limited by a bunch. Sure, it's free for some time, but if you want to actualize if you want to actually use all the features, all the platforms, it's going to get quite expensive and you're going to have a big problem with the platform. So it's not optimized for service delivery or creative workflows, but it's good for B2B marketing and just overall outbound content-driven growth. So if you're thinking about HubSpot, or if you're still using HubSpot, I will probably keep using HubSpot because it's a great platform. But if you're starting out or feeling like HubSpot is too expensive, it's just not too complicated, nobody really is using all the features, change platform to like a high level or something else that is way better, right? So I have not written on Monday, I've realized, but Monday I think goes into also a solid B or almost A tier. I'm going to say, of course, top B tier. I think HubSpot prefers an A tier, to be honest. So Monday is also quite, of course, cheap. Monday is quite similar to Mr. ClickUp. ClickUp lands as a, I'm going to do that very soon. Not D tier, of course. Monday is super cheap. You basically pay same thing, like you can pay all from somewhere to 10, of course, up to, I think it's like $20-30, I think, per user. Very dependent if you have customized teams, like it depends if you have CRM, sales. There are a bunch of things which can, of course, depend on the Monday.com. But yeah, overall, Monday is great. I do recommend Monday. If you're using Monday, you still will have like a bunch of features, which I think ClickUp is better at, which deserves an S tier, right? Very equal to high level, basically the same thing because it kind of depends on what you're doing in this case. ClickUp is way cheaper, but also has less features, right? So it's best for marketing and it says multiple. Like, thing is, ClickUp can be just like Notion, Airtable, an all-in-one platform, but even like it's also almost tailored to CRM as well. So Notion and Airtable especially tailored to nothing. It's just like a nice spreadsheet. ClickUp can be tailored to both, right? Done right. So pricing free to $12 per user a month. I think I pay $29 just because of different region and so on. So think about that. We are in VAT and tax and so on. The strengths, extremely good at push delivery, placing it all in one platform, and extremely good in project delivery, literally. Weaknesses, of course, it handles onboarding, approvers, deadlines, automations, form docs, dashboards, everything inside of the platform. Highly recommend using ClickUp. Weaknesses, of course, needs a smart setup or becomes bloated. Slight learning curves for teams. Like, that's the main thing. Always when I use ClickUp, there is a slight learning curve, and if you're trying to set everything up for yourself, you're going to have some problems. Thankfully, there's plenty of YouTube stuff, both on my channel, of course, and other channels out there. Main thing with ClickUp is, of course, super cheap, super effective, slight learning curve, but once you have done the learning curve, it's extremely effective in terms of AI agents, automations, and overall just scalability with the platforms. I mean, I have clients who have hundreds of active clients, like 100+ active clients. The reason these are both in S tier and they're on the same level is because this ClickUp is better at client delivery. This aspect is better at lead nurturing, right? So there is a difference between the platforms because Go High Level is perfect for like meta ads, doing lead gen. You basically can track everything inside of the platform. ClickUp, if you don't use Make and CPU, you don't really have those features. So highly recommend having Go High Level, but of course also think about if you don't have they're good at their own things, right? One is for client delivery and one is, of course, for lead nurturing, can have SMS, forms, emails, and funnels. So they have their own purpose in mind, and both are super good for creative agencies. I highly recommend turning on both, trying both, testing them both out, and kind of see what you like. You're probably gonna like ClickUp easy because it's just so much easy to handle, because Go High Level 1 has a bunch of paid features and you're quite limited, because ClickUp can be free forever. Go High Level can't be. So there is a difference. So yeah, keep that in mind. Play around with the platform. Of course, I have a 12-step free ClickUp guide in the description. So play around with platforms, and these of course are my current tiers. ClickUp, Go High Level, Slack, HubSpot, and of course then comes Monday, Airtable, Notion, and then of course the whole pipeline. So if you're doing C tier and below, change platforms today. If you're doing B tier, start playing on these platforms. If you're doing A tier, kind of also start thinking about doing different platforms. Kind of explore some other platforms, see what you can do, and overall just kind of play around with the platforms. That's my biggest recommendations, because sometimes some people don't, if they have say used HubSpot in another team 2 years ago, then they're probably going to pick HubSpot over like Slack, because even though they're on the same level, quite similarly for creative agencies, if you have used a platform before, you know the features better, and you can just customize it much better, of course, to the team as well. So play around with them. That's always my number one tip. See what you think is the best overall. Just see what fits the team the most. So thank you for watching, and good luck.